Okay. Good morning, good afternoon. Thanks everyone for attending this webinar on good quality is good business and developing the business case for quality management. This is the third webinar, the second webinar in a series of three, in which we're exploring the topics of culture and cost of quality. The outline for today is we'll start with a brief introduction, then we'll look at leadership support. There's two surveys in this webinar. The first one will be looking at the at leadership support for quality management. Then we'll look at the value chain for quality management and the concept of total cost of quality. The second survey will be on measuring total cost of quality and to what extent that's currently done in the industry. And then we'll deep dive into how to quantify your total cost of quality and how to derive the business case for quality from that quantification. And if you have any questions, you can always ask them through the private chat. At the end of the session, we'll try to answer as many questions as possible, and then we'll wrap up. So this webinar is the second in this series of three. We started with the culture of quality. Today we'll look at the business case for quality. The next webinar will be on the dashboard for cost of quality and making your cost of quality visible and transparent and available in real time, basically. And then there's a parallel track with quality talks, in which we'll have expert sessions discussing all kinds of topics in the broad quality management domain. Like I said, whenever there's a question, feel free to just submit them through the private chat. And at the end of the webinar, my colleague Saskia will join the stage and we'll go through them and hopefully answer all of them. Let's start with a brief introduction. My name is Gerben de Haan. I'm head of product at LSQI. And at LSQI, we consider ourselves pioneers of integrated quality management. We're a vendor of quality management software. It's an integrated suite that combines basically all of quality management, including supplier management and environment, health, and safety, all in one platform. We focus on manufacturing, and more specifically on batch and process manufacturing. We have customers across the globe in just about every manufacturing vertical. The system is cloud native, so you can access it on any device, regardless of where you are, whether you're in the lab, on the shop floor, or in your office, or in your home office, or traveling. You always have all your quality data and documentation to your avail. And a key differentiator is that it's a no-code platform that allows you to configure the whole platform and all of the business processes and business logic to your specific needs, which makes it very easy to not only implement it, but also adapt it to the ever-changing requirements of the market. And we're grateful with the customers that we serve across the globe. You see a few of the logos down here. They're leading manufacturers across industries across the globe. It's really exciting for us to see the value they derive from our software. So that as a brief introduction. Now let's dive into the reason why this topic of cost of quality is so relevant. These are two pieces of anecdotal evidence, if you want, of the state of the industry. So on the top right, you see this screenshot from a discussion thread on the internet, where quality professionals seek solace with their peers, basically to see how do you stay sane in your role, how do you stay motivated if the organization is not living and breathing quality as much as it should. So this quote you see here of "I constantly have to play the bad cop to keep our process and product safe." Well, that is a quote that we or a sentiment that we encounter in many of our discussions with quality professionals, a lack of culture, and that's really burning people out. And this second screenshot of a LinkedIn connection of mine, Kitty Apples, she had a food safety consultancy here in the Netherlands, focusing on food companies, obviously, and she pivoted her business to stress and burnout coaching for QA professionals. So that shows the state of the industry, that lots of people in the quality domain suffer from a lack of understanding and a lack of a culture of quality and a quality first mindset in their organizations. And that's, well, these individuals are paying a high price for that. And of course, the question is how did we get there? And more importantly, what can we do to change that? So how do we get there? I think a big answer to that question lies with leadership support. In many organizations, the leadership still doesn't have the full understanding of the relevance of quality management for both the short term and the long term success of the company. And in many of these companies, quality management is still not the mature business function that it should be because of this lack of management support. And of course, the consequence of that is a poor, or at least a suboptimal, culture of quality, with lots of individual hustling to save the day, basically. And because of this lack of leadership support, quality professionals have a hard time improving their operation, because they don't get the approval for their investment projects, and they don't have the seat at the table that they want to have. And I think it's our role as quality professionals to pick up the baton and to try actively to change this and to get the seat at the table. And then before we discuss how to get there, I'm curious to learn what the state in your company is. So the first survey is about the leadership support that you encounter in your organization. So I'm curious to learn whether you do feel that, well, everything is possible, quality is a strategic differentiator in our organization, or leadership is supportive but only if business is permitting, or no leadership considers quality management a cost. So I see the results coming in. I'll wait a few more seconds. This is interesting. So I see that around 10%-ish of the people say everything is possible. We have full support from management. The vast majority sees a supportive leadership, but only when business is permitting. And around a third, by the looks of it, so we closed the poll. So around a third has no leadership commitment, and they only see it as a cost. So around 10% with full support, the vast majority of 60-ish%, a supportive management, but only when business permits, and a third that suffer from the same challenge as this poor little girl we saw in the previous slide, where leadership considers it a cost. So I think that's pretty much on par with what we see in other surveys as well. So it shows the relevance of starting to discuss with management about the relevance of quality management, because that is ultimately where things need to change. Peter Drucker had this famous quote that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So you can have a perfect strategy to become a market leader, but if your culture doesn't help you, that doesn't align with that strategy, then you can define strategies as much as you want, but it will never fly. And the same holds true for the culture of quality. If your strategy is to have a very good quality, but you don't live and breathe that culture from the top to the shop floor, then it will never fly, and people will still focus on short-term successes, and well, that's probably counterproductive when it comes to establishing a quality first mindset. So culture eats strategy for breakfast, but the good thing is that it also takes a strategy, or with a good strategy you can grow this culture. So as quality professionals, we need to be aware of this. We need to take control of this over this strategy and actively grow this culture, because ultimately once you have this culture in place, then it's really internalized in the team and in the organization, and you're in a much better position than you might be today. So our vision is, or our mission, I should say, is to enable quality professionals to implement this culture and to change things for the better. And for us, cost of quality is a really important instrument in that strategy to make people aware. So we as quality professionals need to convince leadership. We should not just sit there and wait for our retirement or burnout, whichever comes first. We need to actively change things for the better, and we believe that you can do so by speaking the language of your leadership. If you are able to translate your quality operation to the language of the leaders, which is the language of dollars and cents. If you're able to do that, then you'll get a seat at the table and you'll become a peer to them. So translating the quality operation to dollars is the key challenge to solve. And in our vision, we use the return on investment as the Rosetta Stone to translate this. Your quality operation into dollars, and to show the relevance, because ultimately no one will reject a positive ROI. So that's what the webinar today is all about. How can we quantify our operation and translate that into this ROI? And if we're looking at the cost of quality, then most of the people, when asked about the cost of quality, will start talking about the visible, tangible cost of quality. So rework, waste and rejects, recalls, customer complaints, claims, things like that. That's really visible. That's what everyone immediately thinks of. But there's much more. So this metaphor of the iceberg is often used in that context, because the vast majority of the costs are hidden below the surface and not as tangible and visible as the relative small top of the iceberg. So if you think about hidden cost of quality, you can think about the excessive wear on equipment. If you have 10% rework, then you presumably also have 10% more time that your machines are running. So the wear on your equipment is 10% higher, reducing the lifetime of your equipment. You probably also have 10% more energy consumption. So that's a direct cost of your rework. Then if you deal with dissatisfied customers because of customer returns and claims and complaints, then that is taking its toll with the people dealing with these people, because, well, it's not actually a fun job to deal with these dissatisfied customers. Then think about your salespeople, the impact on the brand. So if you had some quality issues, that might be known in the market. So your salespeople will probably have a hard time realizing their margins, and they might need to offer some discounts because of these quality issues. So that's an immediate effect of quality issues on the top line of the business. So there's much more to it than just the claims and the rework and the value of the wasted goods. And I think if you're keen to get the leadership fully aware of the relevance of quality and the impact of quality management on both the top line and the bottom line of the business, they should have this full picture of the cost in order to get this understanding of the relevance. Now let's take a look at the breakdown of total cost of quality that Professor Feigenbaum created as part of his total quality management idea. So this is an idea conceived in the 60s or the 70s of the last century, where the total cost of quality is broken down into two lags: the lag of cost of good quality and the lag of cost of poor quality. So on the good side, we have prevention and appraisal. So that's everything we proactively do to organize for good quality. Think about all your quality assurance, your preventative actions, education, training, your quality manual, things like that. Appraisal typically is your quality control operation, with all the audits and material inspections and the calibration and everything related to that. So that's what you actively do to organize for good quality. And then if you look on the poor side of the house, that deals about failure, either internal failure or external failure, where the key difference is who detects the failure. If that's done internally before the goods are shipped to the customer, then it's an internal failure. If it's done after release to the customer, it's an external failure. And of course, you have things like your rework and scrap and corrective actions and your action plans and supplier communication. If it's about quality defects with your incoming goods, retesting, things like that. And then when it comes to external failures, of course, there's customer complaints, the product recalls, maybe transportation costs to get the goods back to the facility. So that's basically what you can think of in this classification of the total cost of quality in those 4 buckets. Then Feigenbaum did some research on the volume of and the distribution of the cost of poor quality and good quality. And back in his days, the cost of poor quality could add up to 20-30% of the total revenue of a company. Well, I think we're in a better place today, but still these costs can be significant. And he proposed that if you want to talk about the impact of the cost of poor quality, then it might make sense to visualize it and to talk about it using the analogy of a hidden factory. So you do have a factory, the factory that everyone works in, but if you have 10%, 20%, whatever percentage of cost of poor quality, then you basically have a hidden factory that is only costing you money, while all of your investments with the same ratio of the good quality and the poor quality distribution, your investments go to this hidden factory as well. So if you have, say, 10% cost of poor quality, 10% of your annual revenue, then 10% of your salaries, 10% of your investments, 10% of your energy consumption is spent on this hidden factory. And now if you visualize it as 2 factories, so imagine you park your car at the parking lot and you have two factories, one to the left, one to the right, and you know that the one to the left is producing good stuff and the one to the right is producing only crap, and there's no value coming out of that factory. Then of course everyone is fully aligned that there's no sense in operating that hidden factory, and you want to get rid of that as soon as possible. But if you don't think about it that way, but see it as a total factory, then you might easily accept it as the cost of doing business. Whereas if you visualize it as 2 distinct factories, everyone is fully aligned that we should do everything we can to get rid of that facility. And well, I think that's a way to put it and to demonstrate the relevance and the sheer fact that this is acceptable, and that is such a strange thing that we all accept this hidden factory to exist. So this metaphor might be relevant and useful in getting this message across with leadership. Now let's have a look at the cost of quality value chain and see how the money flows, basically. So we have this manufacturing process, production process with the quality assurance and quality control operations implemented with the prevention and appraisal. The input of the production process is raw material, as well as capital in the form of equipment, energy, and labor. And the output of the facility is either good quality, leading to direct revenue, or it's poor quality. And then this poor quality can be broken down into either external failure with claims and recalls and discounts, etc., as an outcome, or it can be internal failure. Well, of course, part of your internal failure will be scrapped as well, but another part is fed back into the process as rework, but then, of course, at the expense of your raw material and equipment, energy, and labor. So this is a very high-level overview of how the money flows and how quality is impacted in this value chain. Now, let's have a look at what a mature quality operation can bring you in terms of savings in this value chain. So assume that there are quality improvements. Then these quality improvements help you with 2 things. save time in your current quality management operation, so become more efficient, and also drive a culture of quality. Well, if you can do more with the same team and improve the culture of quality, then you have an improved level of your good quality operation, your QA QC operation with your existing team. If you can do more with your existing team, then you can postpone new hires in your quality department. We talk to manufacturing companies day in, day out, and many of them have open vacancies in the quality department. So people are becoming more and more scarce there. So if you're able to postpone hires by becoming more efficient and effective, that's an immediate saving. If you can postpone new quality hires with a year or 2 years, well, that can be a significant saving. So that's a direct saving that an improved quality operation results in. Then the improvements to your QA/QC operation, prevention, and appraisal activities will help you to drive continuous improvement. Becoming more data-driven helps you with really understanding where bottlenecks are, and that's helping you to continuously improve the operation, not just from your quality team, but also from the entire facility. And then lastly, a improved culture of quality will help you to improve process adherence. Gartner did a research a while back, and they found that almost half of the customer complaints, so we're talking about external failure there, almost half of the customer complaints could be traced back to people circumventing quality procedures. And well, of course, if you can drive your process adherence, improve that, then you'll reduce your external failure cost there. So the improvements to process adherence, improvements to your quality first mindset, and quality, the culture of quality will have an immediate impact on your failure rates. So that reduces your poor quality costs, which, well, part of it, of course, is scrap, is rework. So there is a direct saving to it, but maybe more importantly, reducing your poor quality has an effect for your efficiency. It reduces rework. None of your failures is the same, so you always need to assess, okay, what do we need to rework this? Can we rework it? How can we fit that into the already very tight production schedule that we have? So lots of noise and confusion there. So reducing this will have a significant positive impact on your operational efficiency, and that then, of course, is a continuum, because that improved operational efficiency will help you to save time in your current quality management activities. You're less of a firefighter, so that will help you to focus more on more preventative, continuous improvement activities. So this is a continuum that you can go through multiple times, and this will help you to continuously improve the operation. And then if you take this continuum and feed that into the value chain, then you'll see that well, first of all, we have an improved prevention and appraisal operation. So the ratio between good and poor quality will improve. So more direct revenue. There will be a reduction of your failure rates. So both your internal and external failure rates will drop, leading to a reduced number of claims and financial impact of recalls and discounts and penalties and lost opportunities and what have you. On the internal failure side, reduction there leads to a reduction of your scrap rates, reduction of rework, and as a result, reduction of the raw material and the capital being used there. So this shows you how an improved maturity in your quality operation helps you to become a better company and to drive both the short term and the long term successes of the company. And that, of course, is something that is highly appealing to your leadership, no doubt about it. So that's a high-level overview of the cost of quality value chain, and this is, of course, something that's universally true for each and every manufacturing company. The challenge is to quantify it for your case. So let me start asking you about whether you currently track the cost of quality in your operation. So the survey is open, and we can choose between yes, we track both, good quality and poor quality. Yes, we only track poor quality cost, or no, we don't track anything at all. So I see some data coming in. Okay, there are people that actually track both the good quality and poor quality. It's only a few. It's what we typically see. So most of the companies do track, well, either nothing, or if they track anything, it's on the poor side. It seems that you guys are pretty much on the same side there. Yeah, so cool. We see the data. So 5% of you guys do track both the good quality and the poor quality. The half of you, just over 50%, track the cost of poor quality, and the remaining 45-ish% do track nothing at all. So I think on average we see that across the industry, the number of people that don't track anything at all is slightly lower than what we see today. But I think it shows the relevance of quantifying or starting to look and to discover and explore how you can quantify your operation, because quite a number of you don't track anything at all. So I think that's a world to win there, which is of course a great starting point for the next section of this webinar, and that is trying to quantify the cost of quality there. Now, we teamed up with Gartner. They did a survey in the market to see how those 4 buckets of the Feigenbaum model, how they are relatively distributed across the industry. So they found that 27% of the total cost of quality was spent on internal failure, 20% on external failure, 22% was spent on prevention, and 32% on appraisal. So it's pretty much half between the good and the poor leg. So this is a benchmark we could use to, if you don't happen to have data from your own operation, to guesstimate the cost of quality and the relative distribution of cost of quality for your case. And then they also found that in total, the average cost of quality was just over 5% of the annual revenue. So combining these numbers, we can calculate that for on average, for a manufacturer of with 50 million of revenue, the total cost of quality adds up to just over $2.5 million. And you can see the breakdown into those 4 buckets. So for the just over 40% of you that don't track anything at all, this could be a starting point, an industry benchmark to look at your data and have a guesstimation of what the cost for your case could be with just the sole input of your annual revenue. Of course, if you have more accurate data from either your total operation or the cost of poor quality, then you can fine tune these and only take the benchmarks for the blanks that you might have in your model. But I think by all means this is a perspective to get a bit more quantified approach to looking at your cost of quality. Now, quality management is such a broad domain. So within those 4 buckets, there's a ton of activities going on. So if you look at prevention, it's everything with your observations, your quality manual training, statistical process control, risk assessments. And then if you look at appraisal, it's all these inspections that you do in your incoming goods or your final products, and 5S inspections and things like that, and supply revaluation. So lots going on there as well. And then on the failure side, of course, there's all these deviations with their follow-up and corrective actions, and making a plan to define your resolutions and your rework. And then on the failure side, of course, it's dealing with the customer complaints and recall and claim management and corrective actions there as well, of course. So there's so much going on. Now, if you want to track all of these activities from a business case perspective, that's too much. That will take you too long to get to a basic understanding of the impact of your improvement projects on the total cost of quality. In the next webinar, by the way, we will be talking about quantifying each of these activities and creating a real-time dashboard out of that. but for the purpose of creating your ROI and the business case, we developed a more simplified model where we basically combine all of these activities in a handful of line items per bucket. And then we developed an Excel sheet, a methodology to go through this, all of these items, discuss the anticipated improvements that you'll see on each of these line items, and then using, either your own numbers or the benchmarks that we just discussed, we can we can estimate the cost for each of these line items and use that to quantify the anticipated total savings of your project. So we developed a workshop to guide you in this, and in this workshop we'll go through this Excel sheet together, discuss the various opportunities that your either software or hardware or people or training, doesn't matter, what your project has for each of these line items. And then we're provided with total numbers at the end of the workshop to get a feel for the return. And then, of course, if you compare that with the anticipated investment, you have this ROI, and you have a quantified approach to talk about your quality improvements. And that's probably what your leadership is really excited to hear about. So this methodology it's fairly easy to develop. We simplified all of the activities. We brought that down into just the handful of items. It allows you to create this baseline for the tracking. It's also the baseline, or you could use this as the baseline for your cost of quality dashboard, and then expand from there and add more activities to the mix, and really start calculating the cost of all these individual activities step by step. And like I said, our next webinar will discuss more about that particular topic. So it allows you to get a feel for the financial impact of your quality improvements, and basically prove that your investments are sound. And of course, that's a great message to start the discussions with your leadership. So getting back to the intent of this webinar and the relevance of this whole topic, we feel that as quality professionals, it's our job to convince leadership about the relevance of quality. They have a lot of things to worry about. So let us convince them, or let us explain why quality is relevant, and explain the value add of any given quality improvement project on both the baseline and the top line of the business. And if we're able to do that, we basically speak their language, which makes it much easier to get a seat at the table and to get their buy-in for quality improvements and for building this culture of quality. And ultimately, if we can prove that we have a sound business case, then no one will ignore a positive ROI. So I think your chances of getting approvals for your projects are much higher if you present it this way. And then some best practices that we encountered over the years when doing these workshops. Let's not just focus on the numbers, but explain the broad picture. So that's why the value chain that we discussed today is such an important tool. It allows you to put things into perspective and to explain the broader context. And if people understand this value chain and do feel that this holds true for their business as well, then the actual numbers don't matter too much, because then it shows that every investment in quality will ultimately pay for itself. And I think that's, if you look at what Duran is saying about that ultimately quality is free. If you go through the investments, and ultimately you'll see that the impact of the quality improvements will outweigh their cost by a completely different order of magnitude. So getting this message across and having them understand the value chain is key. Also, don't be obsessed about accuracy. If you need dollar precision, then you probably didn't get them to understand this value chain. So make sure that they understand that first, and then show the numbers as an indication and a guesstimation, not as precise numbers. They are not precise. They're built upon industry benchmarks. So let's not be obsessed about accuracy, but on the broader picture, the bigger picture. And also, don't share just the plain numbers, but put things in perspective. If there were some quality incidents or accounts you lost because of quality incidents, that show how these fit into this whole value chain picture, and how they could have been prevented, and how your project that you try to defend would be instrumental in reducing or preventing basically that issue in the first place. If you put things in perspective, that makes it easier for people to understand, and they are probably understanding the relevance of your project much easier. So these are some best practices to get this message across. Now we opened up the chat for questions. So I'm inviting Saskia to the stage to go through the questions you submitted, and well, hopefully we can answer them. Saskia, welcome.
Thank you, Gerber. We do have some questions. We'll try and answer all of them, but if we don't get to all of them, we will get back to you by email. The first one is by Jeff, who asks, we don't track all the data on the cost you mentioned. Can I still get a relevant ROI?
Yes, I think so we saw the majority of the people attending, and that's what we see in workshops and other sessions we do as well, that the majority doesn't track all of the cost of quality, with a significant part not tracking anything at all. So if you have data, of course, that would be a great starting point. Only if it's on a few of these processes, that's still a great starting point. And for the blanks, we can fall back to the industry benchmarks and assume that they apply to your case as well. I think that's the most accurate assumption we can make for now, and that allows us to fill in the blanks and still provide you with an ROI figure that probably holds true for your case. So you don't need to have data for all of your activities in order to still be able to make this ROI.
Okay, thank you. Then question by Richard, how can we quantify the cost of individual processes like calibration management and customer complaints?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this actually touches the subject of the next webinar, where we are discussing dashboarding your quality operation in much more detail. But the essence there is that each of your quality activities have a number of occurrences. So the number of calibrations, the number of complaints, the number of audits you did, whatever the number of minutes spent reading a quality instruction. So if you're able to get to that number, and you're able to get to a standard price for each of these activities, then you can simply multiply them. So n times p, where n is the number of events, p is the price. Then you have an estimation of the cost of that individual activity. And then if you do that across the board for all of your activities, you have a pretty accurate indicator of the cost of these processes and your total quality operation as a whole. So that's high level the approach to quantify it. But like I said, more on that topic soon.
All right, thank you. The question by Paul, do you have any advice on how to get other parts of the company to share information on cost of quality, as they may be reluctant to spend time or show their dirty laundry?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's a great question. And I think it all starts with making them aware about the relevance of this whole exercise. If they don't see how how quality can impact the short and long term success of the company, then they might not be motivated to share these numbers. But if they are aware of the value chain and how every role contributes, then they might be really open to share this information, because it will help the organization to mature. And then if you talk about being reluctant to share information or to not expose the dirty laundry, then think about salespeople that had to give discounts. Well, of course, that's not something that they might be really proud of. But then if they can show that this was due to a lack of quality performance, then they might be much more motivated to actually share these numbers, because they can show that it wasn't their fault in the first place. So this is just an example. And I think if they are aware of the value chain and know how their role can impact quality, then I think they will be motivated to share these numbers and to collectively build this insight, and hopefully we can all derive an improved culture from that. We don't see too much issues in gathering this data. Of course, it can be a cumbersome process to go through all these departments and get people to do that, but ultimately they will. So I think it's just the most important step is to start asking, start showing the relevance, and maybe create a little deck in which you pitch the value chain, and then ultimately the data will come.
Okay, thank you. Question by Rob. What data do you use to make the cost calculations? For instance, production capacity lost when out of spec.
Yes, so that also ties back to quantifying the quality operation. So I refer to the N times P model, so number of occurrences times the standard price. If you talk about lost opportunity, which in case of internal failure can be quite a significant one, then you can determine the minutes of delay or standstill that you had because of quality issues, because of replanning and things like that. And then if you know your average margin per minute or per hour or whatever, then you can have an estimation of the lost opportunity that was caused because of the delays and the standstill caused by quality incidents. So this same N times P approach can be applied there to get a feel for the financial impact of your delays.
Okay, and then a question by Joan. Is cost of quality something LSQI can help us with?
Yes, absolutely. So in this webinar, we talked about the high-level value chain and the ROI. So that's a spreadsheet exercise, but we have all this raw data. So again, talking about the N times P model, we do have all the N's. We know how many calibrations you did. We know how many product deviations there were, how many customer complaints. So we can provide you with the N, and then if you're able to determine a standard price for each of these activities, then we can calculate the total cost of quality. And in fact, that is something that we're currently finalizing, a dashboard, a total cost of quality dashboard that allows you to track month after month the number of events in your quality operation, multiply them with the standard price, and then trend the development of your costs, and see the ratio between your good and poor quality, etc., and see how individual processes are improving or worsening. So it allows you to get a feel for the development of your cost of quality. So by all means, that is something that we consider a relevant part of quality management and a relevant capability of a quality management software.
Okay, thank you. We do have some more questions, but looking at the time, we will answer those by email, and I'll let you wrap up the webinar.
Perfect. Yeah, so that was it. So I'd like to thank everyone attending for their attendance. I hope it was an hour well spent. We're always keen to learn about your feedback and inputs on how to improve this and how this could work for you. We're all, like I said, we developed a workshop out of this ROI approach. So if you're interested in scheduling a workshop, please do so. You'll see a subscription button after we finish the webinar. There's lots of other content on this topic on the website, and there's guides and white papers and other webinars. We have the quality talks which are expert sessions in which we touch upon different topics of quality management. So there's a lot of content you can find on the website. We hope to engage with you in upcoming webinars, and like that. Thanks for your attendance, and hope to speak again. Have a great day. Bye bye.